Hello, everyone. Welcome to the April 25th episode of the Bacon Bets Podcast, the NFL Draft Special Edition episode of the Bacon Bets Podcast. I'm recording this on Monday night. I'll be releasing it Tuesday morning. The NFL Draft just a couple of days away. I was going to wait until after the Leafs-Lightning game to record tonight, but they are down 4-1 at the end of the second period. So screw it. I'll just record a little bit earlier because I can't take watching that team break my heart again. I mean, it's like watching your pet dog just like slowly die of cancer is kind of what it feels like. So I'm going to record it right now. So what I'm going to do on this episode, and by the way, I'll tell you now at the top of the show, usually I wait till the very end, but if you're watching this on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel version of the podcast, and if you're listening to this, just the audio version, number one, please rate and review, and number two, you might actually want to go over to the YouTube channel and watch the YouTube version of this episode because it will be a little bit video friendly. The reason why I'm going to start off the first half of the show, I'll break down my best bets for the NFL draft on Thursday. I have, which is on brand. I have 1 million bets locked in. I think I have like maybe 15 bets locked in for the NFL draft, all just for the first round pretty much. And then after that, I'm going to do my official mock draft. I'm going to do it live, right in front of your face. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to do it on pff.com. If you haven't, or if you don't know, there's like a live mock draft simulator. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the pick for every team based on where I think, what I think teams are going to do and who I think they're going to pick. And then at the end of the first round of the draft, I'll see how well I did. I'll line myself up next to these so-called NFL insiders. Now, I'm not an NFL insider. I don't claim to be, so the mock draft is just going to be for fun. I'll base it off of betting odds mostly, and then secondly off mock drafts that I've looked at, and then third just off gut feeling. How about that? So that'll be a little fun way to end the show, but this is a betting show at the end of the day, so we are going to start with my picks for the NFL draft, my best bets. I gave out 3 on Monday morning's episode of Chasing That Paper, so I'll quickly rip through those first. And then I have a bunch of other ones here to get through. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I said 15 earlier as a guess. That's exactly how many I have left in. Very good radio and podcasting. When they actually teach you how to do radio and podcasting, they say the number one thing you should do is count things. It's very fun to listen to. But I have 15 bets locked in. Some of them I have a little bit more of an explanation than the other. NFL Draft is one of those events, much like the Super Bowl. Then again, I do handicap the Super Bowl more. It's one of those events, trying to think of a good comparison. I can't think of one off the top of my head. But I'm trying my best to win bets and to make good bets and bets that will cash. But at the end of the day, this is not, to me, a money-making endeavor. This is a for fun endeavor. Actually, the NFL Draft is top 5 most fun thing I think to bet on. When they go do 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 do. That was a terrible impression. What's the noise that they make? I don't know if it's gonna come through on this. I don't know. It definitely won't. I'm gonna turn off I'm gonna switch over to speakers. I'm talking about the sound they make when the pick is locked in, and you have a bet and it comes down to this pick. Ooh, it's the best. NFL Draft pick is in sound. Let me see if I can get it to play here. Oh, no, that's me turning up the volume. No. And we have an ad! Shoot the man, shoot the dog too. This is not worth it. I'm just trying to play the sound. I don't need to listen to a fit. The video itself is 4 seconds. I have to watch a 15-second ad to get to it. Here we go. That's all I was trying to play. That sound gets the juices flowing. Also, the draft, it's actually the single event all year that fans of shitty teams have to look forward to, which is great. So me being a Falcons fan, we sucked this year. So now I get to look forward to the draft because we have the number 8 overall pick. So it's always a nice little bonus for us fans of shitty teams. But I've filibustered enough. Let's get into my best bets. My point of that whole rant, I think, was that this is not a money-making endeavor. I'm trying my best to make money, but at the end of the day, there's no stats I can look up for this. We're basing these bets off of what we hear from NFL insiders, quote-unquote NFL insiders, so I don't I think they act like they know way more than they do. These NFL insiders, I've been on the phone with GMs all day, and this is fuck off. Yeah, right. First of all, who talks on the phone anymore nowadays? I got a glass of wine with me tonight, by the way, so strap in, baby! Once again, if I can finally get to my point, it's that when I lose a couple of these bets, and I'm going to lose them, don't roast me. It's for fun. Fade my picks if you want. Tail them if you want. The NFL draft betting on it is all about having some fun. So let's try to do that. All right, let's start off. I'm going to rip through the 3 picks I gave out on Chasing That Paper, just so the people who watch that on Monday morning, I'll rip through them quick so you don't have to hear me rant on about them too much. But my favorite pick, I think, of the entire first round of the NFL draft is for over 3.5 wide receivers to be selected. In the second half of the first round, there are plenty of teams that need a wide receiver. I originally had Packers in the second. Well, I guess even originally the 15th overall pick wasn't technically second half of the draft. You get my point. There's a lot of teams picking 13 or later who need a wide receiver because there's no top 10 wide receiver talent, but there's a handful of guys that are late first round talent. You got the Packers, you got the Lions, you got the Chargers, you got the Ravens, you got the Vikings, you got the Giants, you got the Eagles, you got the Chiefs. All those teams, wide receiver is one of their needs. Now, they're not all going to pick wide receivers, but if 4 of them do, then we cash this bet. So if half of those teams that have a wide receiver for a need take a wide receiver later on in the first round, we're golden. Now, obviously, the top guy is, let's see, Ohio State. Jackson Smith Njigba. I don't know about you, but I like calling him JSN. I like calling him JSN. Maybe just because I don't know if anyone else feels the same way. But I don't like saying the last name Smith Njigba. It's a little too close. It's a little too close to a word that I should not be saying. It makes me nervous. So I'm just gonna call him JSN. All right, let's so yeah, he's obviously gonna be the first one. He's gonna be a first round pick, but then there's like a group of 3 guys after him who things are very close. Jordan Addison out of USC, Quentin Johnston out of TCU, and Zay Flowers out of Boston College. I think all 3 of those guys are going to go in the first round. That's kind of what it comes down to, and I think it helps that there's no clear number 2, because there isn't. Any one of those 3 guys could end up being the number 2 wide receiver taken off the board, which means there could be a team later on in the first round who, let's say, just for example, has Zay Flowers as their number 2. And he's the other 2, Jordan Addison and Quentin Johnson, already taken. If someone late in the first round had Zay Flowers as their number 2, they're going to take him regardless. I think that helps our case, because if there's a clear number 2 and clear number 3 and then a wide gap and then number 4, there might be a team who would have that number 2 and number 3 guy on the draft boards. When they're gone, they're not going to take the number 4 guy because everyone has the number 4 guy as the number 4 guy, if that makes any sense. What I'm saying is teams late in the first round might feel like they're getting a steal if they rank one of their receivers number 2, who some teams earlier ranked 3 or 4. Does that make any sense? All I'm trying to say is I think it helps us that there's no clear number 2 at the wide receiver position. So I'm going to take over 3.5 wide receivers selected in the first round. I got it at minus 120. I'm also going to take Christian Gonzalez over 8.5 for his draft position at plus 110. I think, and the odds indicate this too, Devin Witherspoon is around minus 200 to be the first cornerback selected. So Christian Gonzalez likely will be the second cornerback selected. So for this bet to lose, there needs to be 2 corners taken inside the top 8. Now, I think we're going to see a flurry of quarterbacks. I think 4 quarterbacks are going to be taken in the top 8. So that leaves 4 positions left, or 4 players left. I think Devin Witherspoon might go to Detroit. And I think the other 3 teams take defensive linemen. Jalen Carter, Tyree Wilson, and Will Anderson. And then that's it. I think if my math just added up right. Now, I think, and this is why his draft position for this bet is at 8.5, is because the Falcons picking at 8 might take Christian Gonzalez. That was actually who I thought the Falcons were going to take initially. They traded for Jeff Okudah, which made me think he was off the board for them, But then over the weekend, they released Casey Hayward. So now they're kind of back in a similar position. They could take corner there. I don't think they will. I think they trade down. But the Falcons could do a number of different things that wouldn't completely surprise me. I'll talk about the Falcons when we get to the mock draft afterwards. But regardless, at plus money, I think there's some value there. Christian Gonzalez over 8.5 draft position. And then I got B. John Robinson over 13.5 draft position for him to be drafted 14 or later. Now, the odds are not on my side for this one. They've actually, even just throughout today, they've shifted the opposite side. It's actually, you can get plus money on this now. But no running back has been selected earlier than 24 since 2019. Running back is not a glaring need for a lot of top teams, and I think teams might trade down for Bijan Robinson as well. Now, I'm hoping that teams have learned their lesson not to take a running back inside really the first round at all. I'd be interested to put together a list of the top 10 running backs in the NFL and see where they're all drafted. Now, the team that worries me, not only for this bet, but worries me for my fandom, is the Atlanta Falcons. Because a lot of people, and the betting odds indicate this as well, Bijan Robinson's the team that's favored to draft him is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons have so many holes in their team that if they were a boat, they'd sink within seconds. Last year, they got arguably the steal of the draft, Tyler Algier, in the 5th round. He was a top 5 rookie in the NFL this year, offensive rookie in the NFL this year, rushed for 1,000 yards. The Falcons could go defensive line. They could go corner. They could go, wide receiver. We need a wide receiver too. They could go an interior lineman. There are so many different positions they need, but they might just go Bijan Robinson. And the reason why I say that is because history, and well, if you're a Falcons fan, you know this based on what the management has said, their team strategy is to build the team and fill the holes through free agency, and in the draft the best player available. Well, if you're just drafting based on, and I mean, Kyle Pitts being drafted 2 years ago, like 2nd or 3rd overall proves that. Now, if you're just drafting the most talented player available, well, Bijan Robinson, if you're just talking about pure football talent, might be the most talented player in the entire NFL draft. But we don't need a running. What are we going to do with him? We have a guy from last year's draft who rushed for 1,000 yards. We have Cordero Patterson. Now you want to add in a 3rd running back to the mix? Why? Unfortunately, I think they might do it, but for the sake of my bet, I'm taking over 13.5 draft position. I think Bijan Robinson goes 16. I'm going to go over 4.5 quarterbacks. Joe Osborne gave out this pick on the show. I like this pick a lot. He got first dibs on it, though. I think Hendon Hooker goes in the 1st round. I think it was Peter Schrager had him going I think he had him going like top 10 or something. So obviously because the 4 guys, Levis, Young, Stroud, and Richardson are all going to go in the 1st round. The wild card is Hendon Hooker. I think he goes in the 1st round as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to like Minnesota. So I'll go over 4.5 quarterbacks selected in the 1st round at even money. Then I got Anthony Richardson under 4.5 draft position at plus 232. I think we are going to see absolute chaos in the top 5 picks. So why not? I think it is going to be a lot of quarterbacks. Why not take Anthony Richardson to be one of those top 4 picks? We're assuming Bryce Young goes number 1. Who knows what the Texans do number 2? Wouldn't be shocked if they draft Anthony Richardson. Will Levis is now the betting favorite to go number 2. Some people are saying because the Texans are going to trade down, and the team that's going to trade up is going to take Levis at number 2. Maybe. Let's say Levis goes number 2. Cardinals sitting there at number 3. Do they just take the best defensive player available? Do they trade down too, and someone trades up to get Anthony Richardson? Who knows? Maybe at number 4. The Colts could take Anthony Richardson at number 4, maybe. Plus 232. Too good to pass up. And I think C.J. Stroud has now dropped to the point where he might be the 4th quarterback taken off the board. If that's the case, Anthony Richardson could go there under 4.5, like the odds of plus 232. Jalen Carter under 7 draft position at plus 123. I think Jalen Carter goes to the Seahawks at 5 or Lions at 6. I love that bet at plus money. By the way, I will let you know all of these bets, obviously, well, not obviously, because if you don't live in New York, you don't know. Once again, New York, you can't do fun props like this. So you can't bet on the NFL draft in New York. So all my NFL draft props are all bet at offshore books. 2 offshore books and 1 Canadian book that I'm betting on through proxy. I will not name that book because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't know if I would get in trouble, but I don't want to name it. The 2 offshore books I use for these props is Bovada, if you're in the States, Bodog if you're in Canada, and Bet Online are the 2 offshore books I'm using. By the way, I won $150 betting on Bet Online on mini putt this past week with Rob Pizzola and Jeff Feinberg and Andy Molitor got invites to a professional world putt-putt league. And they played in a threesome. I bet on Jeff Feinberg to win the threesome at plus 200. Cashed, beat Pizzola by 2 strokes. And then I hammered all 3 of them to miss the cut. Obviously, they're not going to make the cut at a professional putt-putt tournament. That cashed as well. Shout out Bet Online for putting those odds up. Jackson Smith Njigba. It's not a curse word. It sounds like one. It sounds too close. I'm sorry. JSN under 13.5 plus 160. I think he goes to the Packers at 13 now that the Packers have traded up. They swap picks with the Jets in part of the Aaron Rodgers deal. I'll take him under 13.5 at plus 160. He is the clear top receiver. Seems to be. But then again, it seems like if there's ever a position where someone who people don't expect to be the first receiver taken, like that's the position group where you could see a dark horse get taken first. It always used to be the Raiders. The Raiders, it would always be like they take some like the guy who's ranked like the 4th or 5th receiver, they'd end up drafting him as a top receiver because he ran a fast 40 back in the Al Davis days. Shout out, that makes me think of Darius Hayward-Bay. Regardless, under 13.5 at plus 160. I think the Packers, out of spite, after not drafting a wide receiver or tight end for the first round the entire time Aaron Rodgers started for the team, they need a wide receiver. They probably, are they going to draft out of spite? I mean, they'd be stupid, but they might. I mean, it's not like they don't need a wide receiver. They need a wide receiver. As soon as they trade away Aaron Rodgers, then they then finally draft a receiver in the first round would be hilarious. They draft at 13. JSN's numbers under 13.5 at plus 160. I'll do it. Under 1.5 running back selected in the first round at plus 115. Obviously, Bijan Robinson's going to go in the first. It seems like the wild card for this pick is Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama. I'm seeing mock drafts that he goes as late as 50. I hope teams have learned their lesson, but then again, we think NFL GMs are smarter than what they actually are. So I wouldn't be surprised if I lose this, but drafting 1 running back in the first round is bad enough. Drafting 2 would be insane. So I'll go under 1.5 running back selected in the first round at plus 115. This one I already mentioned earlier, and these are the last few. I'm just going to whip through them. Bijan Robinson to get taken by the Commanders. I think the Commanders take him at 16. You can bet on that at plus 850. Mr. Irrelevant to be a defensive player, punter, or long snapper, minus 110. I have no reason. It's a coin flip. Pick one. It's fun. It gives you something to root for the very, very last day of the draft. Stetson Bennett, another last day of the draft pick here. Drafted in round 7, plus 400. Back-to-back national champion. I think someone's going to take a shot on him. Who cares about his 7th round pick? Someone will throw a 7th round pick on him. He's favored to go undrafted, especially with the reports lately that some teams don't like his off-the-field stuff. Listen, he's a back-to-back defending national champion. I think some team's going to throw a 7th round pick at him. Plus 400. And then we have team to draft position first. I got Ravens to draft a wide receiver first, plus 200. I think with them signing OBJ, it's clear that they're doing all they can to bring back Lamar Jackson. I think drafting a wide receiver in the first round would be another step in the right direction. Jaguars first pick to be a defensive lineman, plus 250. Chiefs first draft pick to be an offensive lineman, plus 200. And Chargers first draft pick to be a wide receiver at plus 140. So I'll recap all of those, and then we'll get into my mock draft. All right, so I got over 3.5 wide receivers in the first round, minus 120. Christian Gonzalez over 8.5 draft position, plus 110. Over 4.5 quarterbacks selected, plus 100. Bijan Robinson over 13.5 draft position, minus 110. Anthony Richardson under 4.5 draft position at plus 232. Probably wasn't a great idea to select a dry wine when recording a podcast. Jalen Carter under 7 draft position, plus 123. JSN under 13.5, plus 160. Under 1.5 running back selected in the first round, plus 115. Commanders draft Bijan Robinson, plus 850. Mr. Irrelevant to be a defensive player, punter, or long snapper, minus 110. Stetson Bennett drafted round 7, plus 400. Ravens first draft pick to be wide receiver, plus 200. Jaguars first draft pick to be a defensive lineman, plus 250. Chiefs first draft pick to be an offensive lineman, plus 200. And Chargers first draft pick to be a wide receiver at plus 140. Ooh, the Leafs scored. It's 4-2. Probably too little, too late. All right, let's share my screen here. Let's do this draft. Like I said, if you're not watching this on YouTube, it'll probably enhance the experience because you're going to be able to follow along visually with me. Display capture, I want to do that. And then, whoop, bring myself down nice and small in the corner here. So here you go. This is the PFF mock draft simulator. I did a full 7-round one, acting as the Atlanta Falcons GM with Rob Pizzola on Forward Progress a couple of weeks ago. You can look that up. Keep in mind that was before the Jeff Okudah trade. I took Christian Gonzalez 8th overall, but I'm going to do every team. And this is not what I would do as GMs. This is what I'm predicting teams to do. I've selected all teams. This stuff doesn't matter. None of this stuff matters because I'm making the pick for every team as well. But this is a very fun tool to play around with yourself. You can pick your team, and then it's all like the other teams are computer generated and they switch around. And it's kind of fun to play with. I've done multiple of these now. I'm just doing round 1. So obviously a few teams I won't be picking for. I'll be making 31 picks because the Dolphins forfeited their first round pick, which sucks for them. All right, let's enter draft. On the clock. Start draft. Obviously, I mean, if you look at the betting odds, it's like minus 2,000 now. I'm not going to say a hot take and say they're going to take anyone else. So Panthers, we're just going to move along with this one. Bryce Young. Texans. By the way, I did not figure this out beforehand. I don't know how this is going to go. This is like me trying to do a puzzle while being handed one piece of the puzzle at a time. So this could end up being a complete shit show. The Texans, are they going to trade down? Are they going to take a quarterback? Are they going to take a defensive lineman? I think they're going to take a defensive lineman. And based on the betting market, Will Anderson is no longer the favorite to be the first defensive player selected. It is Tyree Wilson. I think the Houston Texans are going to select, if I can find them. The hell? Oh, there we go. Tyree Wilson. Ooh, interesting. Now I'm seeing I've kind of backed myself into a corner where now I might not, like, this draft is not going to line up with the bets that I've placed. I've just realized. Probably not smart. Who gives a shit? You can even trade in this. Now, select a team to trade with. Are the Cardinals going to trade down? I'm going to guess this is going to be just a I was going to see the Raiders, but the Raiders are not there. Okay. The Cardinals, now that they see Tyree Wilson has been taken off the board, they're going to say, oh shit, we can get Will Anderson here? I'm going to take Will Anderson. Now, the Colts have their pick at quarterback. Now, I'm already remembering that Will Levis is not a huge favorite, but sizable favorite to go number 2. I guess if you bet on that, you lost. Colts are going to go quarterback. They might even trade up for it, but the Colts are going to go quarterback. I think the Colts will go with Will Levis. So I have now lost my bet. I may place the bet. I lost my bet. It was plus 260. But based on this mock draft, I've now lost my bet for Anthony Richardson to be in the top 4. But that's okay. We're going to figure it out. I think the Seahawks go with Jalen Carter. And you can see their needs and everything. Guard, center, D-line. They are betting favorites to take a defensive lineman. I think it's like minus 200 for the Seahawks to go defensive lineman with their first pick. I think they go Jalen Carter, the most talented defensive lineman in the draft. Off-field issues, potentially. Didn't look good at this pro day. Was involved in the car crash that killed a guy and a girl. I think the Seahawks take Jalen Carter. Now, the Lions are probably going to go corner. They were probably going to go D-line until they traded away Jeff Okudah. Now they need a corner almost more than anything. Devin Witherspoon is not overwhelming, but he's around minus 200 to be the first cornerback selected. The Lions are minus money to go cornerback. I think it's a natural fit. I haven't done any trades yet, but I don't know because I'm controlling every single team. No, we'll see. Maybe computers control it. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not making a trade yet. The Raiders. I think the Raiders go with the core. I think this is where Anthony Richardson goes, which means CJ Stroud has now dropped far. But I think the Raiders go Anthony Richardson. Jimmy G is clearly not the long-term answer there. He'll start for a year or two. Anthony Richardson seems to be kind of the highest ceiling player, but he's the rawest. Sit behind Jimmy G. Learn for a year or two. They want to get their new face of the franchise for years to come. Anthony Richardson to the Raiders. Now, this is where I want to trade. I think the Falcons trade down. Even if they want to get Bijan Robinson, I think if they pick Bijan Robinson at number 8, they're idiots. I don't think there's another edge rusher. If Tyree Wilson or Will Anderson fall to them, take an edge rusher there. Maybe they go with Christian Gonzalez now that, what's his face? I mentioned his name earlier in the podcast. A former Chargers guy came over, broke his arm or something. PCL, something. Casey Hayward. Now that Casey Hayward's released, maybe they go corner. But if they want an edge rusher, they can get, there's a group of them that are the second tier guys. They could get them a little bit later in the draft. If they want to go wide receiver number 2, they can get him a little bit later in the draft. If they want to get Bijan Robinson, they can get him a little bit later in the draft. There are some decent corners they can even get. Probably not as good as Christian Gonzalez, but Joey Porter Jr., for example, a little bit later in the draft. Team's interested. Pick 8. I think they could drop down to 12. What are you going to give us here? 12, 8. Can you give us your third round pick since we don't really have one in that slot? And screw it. Toss in the 201st overall pick and give us a 5th round. Maybe better. Give us this is a 54% chance to be accepted. Let's offer this. So I'm offering the 8th overall pick to the Texans for 12th, 65th, 201st, and next year's 3rd round pick. Trade accepted. Beautiful trade for the Falcons. We loaded up. We only dropped 4 spots. We got 2 more picks this year. We got another 3rd round pick last year. Beautiful. So now the Texans are on the clock. Now the Texans did that because CJ Stroud is still on the board. You're telling me they can trade up, get Tyree Wilson and CJ Stroud, or they can get Tyree Wilson number 2 and still end up getting CJ Stroud? Because they're shocked that the Raiders just took Anthony Richardson at number 7. They say, yes, get Terry Fontenette on the phone. Let's trade up. Let's get CJ Stroud, who we didn't think would still be available. Boom. Texans take CJ Stroud. All 4 of the top quarterbacks off the board. The Bears, huge favorites to take an offensive lineman first. They're hoping Peter Skoronski falls to them. He probably will. Obvious pick. You got to protect Justin Fields. Their offensive line sucked this year. No-brainer. Might be the biggest no-brainer of the first round as long as he hasn't already been taken. Then you have the Eagles. The Eagles have a 10th round pick from New Orleans. It is very rare for a defending conference champion, a Super Bowl runner-up, to now have the 10th overall pick. So what do? I think in this situation, I don't even think you bother trying to feel well, it says their number one need is wide receiver. I don't know if that's true. You have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Do you need another guy? There's not really another. Oh, Paris Johnson might went to the Bears. I think he actually might be the favorite to be the first. That's interesting. PFF ranks Peter Skoronski higher. But the Eagles don't need a tackle. They need a guard or a center. Can't really take a guard or a center in this spot. I mean, the Eagles could take Bijan Robinson here. You know what? I say the Eagles just say, hey, let's add to our riches. Let's give our, MVP potential quarterback another weapon. This is now, by doing this, I lose my JSN to the Packers bet. Or no, it was under 16.5, so this works. They take Jackson Smith, Jigba. Titans up next. They need a wide receiver and they need an offensive lineman, according to PFF. Well, they just lost out on JSN. I think they take Paris Johnson Jr. here. Now the Falcons are on the clock. Now they have Bijan Robinson. Christian Gonzalez is still there. Now, I'm trying to do this. It's easier for other teams for me to just do it how I think they're going to draft. It's very difficult for me to draft for the Falcons based on how I think because I want to draft based on how I want them to. I mean, Christian Gonzalez is still there. Ugh. They're taking Christian Gonzalez. If he's still there at 12, they have to take him. But if they were to take but Nolan Smith, apparently he might go there. I'm gonna go with Christian Gonzalez. The Packers now at number 13. I still think they go wide receiver to stick it to Aaron Rodgers. Which wide receiver do they like? I have no idea. Do they want a big body? Do they want a quick guy? I'm going to say Quentin Johnson, TCU, is the second receiver off the board. Now, the Patriots. Nothing the Patriots like doing more than trading down in the first round. So that's exactly what they're going to do. If you're not watching this on PFF during this, you can go to trade, and then they come up with teams that, I guess, are quote-unquote willing to trade with you. I don't know how they determine that. The only team apparently wanting to trade up number 14 based on this PFF simulation is the Buccaneers. So we're going to trade with the Buccaneers. We're going to move down to 19. So 14, 19. What else can we squeeze from the Buccaneers? Can we squeeze their second round pick? No, 50% shit. Probably not. Let's go their third round pick. And let's go their 175th round pick. Not 175th round. 175th overall pick. And a round 3 pick next year. So 14th overall from the Patriots to the Buccaneers. The Patriots get back 19th overall, 82nd overall. Actually, we're going to... 175th overall. And next year's... Let's take off the 175th. Let's take... And then... No, that's not going to work. Why? Okay, this works. Patriots get back 19th overall, 82nd overall, 153rd overall, and next year's third round pick. 72% chance to be accepted. Accepted. Beautiful. So now the Buccaneers, and my official mock draft, are now selecting 14th overall. The Buccaneers need a tight end, offensive line, D-line, safety, and a quarterback. What do we have for offensive line left here? Darnell Wright. No, they're going to go Nolan Smith. They're going to go Nolan Smith from Georgia, the pass rusher. Now the Jets, they're going to take an offensive. I think it's like minus 400 or minus 500 for the Jets to take an offensive line. So specifically a tackle. So who's the next best on the board? Darnell Wright or Broderick Jones? PFF has brought Broderick Jones is slightly better. The ADP average draft pick of people who do these mock drafts slightly favor Darnell Wright. Let's go Darnell Wright from Tennessee going to the Jets. Washington. Plus 850. I just cashed a Bijan Robinson to the Washington Commanders bet. Boom. Steelers, this is easy. They need a tackle. Broderick Jones is still available. It's a match made in heaven. Beautiful. The Lions, they now need a wide receiver. They're going to take, and this is going to be an upset, Zay Flowers. Jordan Addison's still going to be on the board. Oh, and the crowd goes wild. Oh, we knew they were going to take a wide receiver, but they took Zay Flowers over Jordan Addison. Oh. Patriots next up on the board. And they take, and it shocks everyone, at 19 overall, Hendon Hooker, quarterback, Tennessee. They have no more faith in Mac Jones. None. They're moving on from him. They're getting Hendon Hooker. How about that? I'm going to get ripped apart for this mock draft so bad. People are going to hate it. Seahawks on the clock, pick number 20. According to PFF, they need a guard, a center, and a defensive lineman. We got a defensive line earlier with Jalen Carter. So they need an interior or offensive line. This is not really a great spot for them. They're going to trade down. They're going to trade with the Jaguars. We're going to make this trade happen. We're at 24. For the 88th overall pick and a 4th round pick next year. And let's toss in the 202nd overall pick this year. Trade accepted. The Jaguars are on the clock. They need a edge rusher, but Kalijah Cansey's still on there, but he's interior, isn't he? B gap. Yeah, but that's not an edge rusher. They're going to take Miles Murphy from Clemson. And now the Chargers are going to take a wide receiver, and they are going to take Jordan Addison. They're shocked that Jordan Addison fell to them at 21. Ravens on the clock next. They're going to try to get a wide receiver, but all their guys have been taken. So they're going to move down. They're going to... Ooh. A lot of these guys are going to end up taking... Actually, you know what? The Ravens are going to take Deontay Banks. They're going to take a corner. They need to shore up that secondary a little bit more. Taking Deontay Banks. Minnesota, they do need a defensive lineman. Kalijah Cansey is still there. That's a steal for them. Kalijah Cansey from Pittsburgh. A defensive tackle. B-gap player, according to where he played in college for the majority of snaps. The Seahawks still need an interior lineman. Now is a little bit of a better fit for the place for them to take him. Take one. Who do we got? Interior offensive line. The best one is apparently Osiris Torrance. A little bit of a reach. But they're going to take Osiris Torrance, a guard from Florida, number 24 overall. The Giants, they're going to take a wide receiver. As I predicted, we're going to see 5 wide receivers taken in the first round. Josh Downs, selected, UNC. Daniel Jones, not UNC, is Duke. ACC blue and white teams got mixed up there for a second. They're going to take Josh Downs, number 25 overall. The Cowboys. Apparently, according to PFF, they have an RB, D-line, LB, and CB. But I think they're going to take a tight end. They're going to take Dalton Kincaid, tight end to Utah. I've seen some mock drafts with them taking a tight end in the first round. Buffalo Bills. They need defense. Go any position. You can go D-line, you can go linebacker, you can go corner. There are a couple good deep defensive linemen left. And that is where they are going to go. They're going to go Lucas Van Ness, edge rusher from Iowa. Bengals on the clock. Their number one need is tight end, but they also need a DB. They also need D-line. I think they would have gone tight if Dalton Kincaid is still available, but he's not. They're going to take Brian Branch, safety, Alabama. Saints are on the clock. Next, they need a guard, center, D-line, corner. They're going to take Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. Eagles, who took JSN in a shocking move, 10th overall. Now they need to take an interior lineman. There's none really available. Nobody wants to trade with us, so the Eagles have to make a pick here. Brian Branch would have been a nice pick for him, but he's not available anymore. Too early to take the next best safety. Oh, this is what they're gonna do, and this is gonna hurt my. I'm gonna lose this bet, and it's gonna be an all-time stinger. Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, Alabama, taken by the Eagles. They're stocking up their offensive weapons. And then finally, the last pick of the first round, the last pick of my mock draft, with the 31st overall pick in the 2023 NFL entry draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select offensive tackle Anton Harrison, Oklahoma. Let's see where PFF grades my draft. Oh, I guess I don't get a grade since I just picked one pick for every team. So there you go. I'm going to screenshot this. And this is going to be exactly correct. And when it happens this way, I'm going to brag to everyone. And I'll become famous as the next biggest NFL insider based solely on betting odds and gut feeling. How about that? I was gonna recap it. I'm not gonna say 31 players' names. Go watch the video version, and you can stare at the recap right now and read it yourself. Go over to my YouTube channel, Bacon Bets Podcast. Subscribe, like this video. Scroll to about the 42.5-minute mark, and you can see the recap of my picks. I did a couple trades. I did a couple reaches. A couple guys fell. I did some questionable things, but questionable things happen in the first round of the NFL draft. Nothing ever happens the way people think it will. So there you go. What do you guys think? Comment on this podcast. Send me a DM. Tweet at me. Comment on the video. How did I do with my NFL mock draft? First round. Thank you all so much for watching, listening. Like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Gamble or bless. Good luck with your picks for the NFL draft this week. And I'll talk to you later.